How's it going, everybody? I'm Landon with LMR.com. Today's video, we're gonna be talking about the 10 reasons why the Fox Body Mustang has been increasing in value over these past several years. So let's get right into it. All right, folks, so first things first, if you just now found us, go ahead and subscribe. We have a lot of really good content related to 79 to present Mustang and SVT Lightning. For those of you that are subscribers to us, welcome back. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so, and be sure those notifications are turned on. That way you're notified every time we release something new. So today in this video, myself, Scotty Grimes, J-Mac, and Scott Springer, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna talk about the 10 reasons why the Fox Body Mustang has been increasing in value over these past several years. These guys are gonna be able to share all of their great knowledge with us today on these certain topic points. It's gonna make for a really good video.
If you're like me, growing up in the 80s, 90s, well, in my case, in the 90s, really getting into cars and girls and all that stuff, the car to have was a Mustang. Of course, you still had your mullet Camaros and stuff rolling through the parking lot, square body Chevy here and there, but I mean, really the epitome of a street car at that point in time was a Mustang.
The nostalgia of the 5-liter Mustang has gratefully impacted the automotive aftermarket. They were easy to make go fast. They were cheap. The power to weight ratio made them almost unbeatable at the time of their heyday, which is why everybody wanted one and desired one. They were a whole new breed of street car. To me, they actually paved the way for the modern day street performance cars.
Americans love Mustangs. Fox Body was the longest running platform of any of the Mustangs. So I think that's why you see it cross over so many generations and see so many people have a memory of that car or a relationship somehow with that car.
In the mid-90s, they were still pretty prominent on the streets. I mean, because you realize it ended in '93, so the used car market was still pretty saturated with them. The ones that you normally saw out there that were heavily modified were the 4-high cars and the early 87, 88s, just because they had been out there. They had come down in price a little bit to be able to be modified by the average guy.
When we get a car, we all want to make it our own in some way, form, or fashion. Now, there are a few of us out there that buy a car, we let it sit, and then several years later, quote, the barn find. The one with 50 miles or 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, whatever. There's that side of it, and then there's the side of folks making it their own. So highly customizable in terms of the value increasing. That does play a factor, because you got to think over all the years, people that have changed things on the car, that makes the other cars, the ones that weren't necessarily touched, that's where the value kind of starts to creep up. A lot of folks want the car that hasn't been touched, that hasn't been torn apart, that hasn't been made a race car. But on the other side of that, the aftermarket in terms of, suspension, drivetrain, powertrain related components, I mean, with the Fox Body Mustang, the sky is the limit. Do a mild restoration, you can fully restore the car. You can do mild to wild suspension stuff, or some mild to wild engine and powertrain related stuff. I mean, you can make the car a full-blown race car if you wanted to. But for a business like us, LMR.com, we pride ourselves in some bolt-on go fast goodies and stuff like that. But more importantly, we value keeping the cars on the road, hence late model restoration. And when Shannon founded the company in 1999, that was his vision. It was the right time to him to start restoring Fox Body Mustangs, and we've kept that theme, we've kept that mantra the entire way through here to the time of this video. And we have a very, very large selection of restoration parts and other parts here on our site. So a little shameless plug here, go check us out.
Weight, cost, and the size of the engine compartment makes it so that you can pretty much fit any engine in one. Fox Body Mustangs have been hugely supported by the aftermarket since the very beginning. It's what we do here. That popularity in the aftermarket has created so many parts that you can't ignore the versatility of the car on track, the potential of the car. It's basically a chassis you can build any way you want to build. Fox Body Mustangs, the 5.0 cars, my 86 and up, had an 8.8 rear end, which was virtually bulletproof. The 5.0 engines were bulletproof, and the aftermarket kicked right in. You had a 3,000-pound car that was reliably put together, had some good parts on it from the factory, and then had the aftermarket supporting it like it does, led to the perfect formula for a drag car. And more so, I mean, other types of motorsport. I've seen plenty of Fox Bodies on the road race courses, even seen some rally and off-road Fox Bodies. So, and no matter what motorsport you're in, there's a way to build a Fox Body to make it competitive and fun.
The unique look of the Fox Body throughout that model year run is another reason why they've increased in value. Talking about all the trim levels, you know, there being a coupe or notchback, what most folks know it as well, a hatchback. There was even the convertible model introduced in 1983, from the 3 body styles to the different trim levels to the refreshes. You know, the 79 Cobra, 79 Pace car, 82 GT, you know, the 85, 86 cars, which personally are some of my favorite Fox Body Mustangs. 1987 came the Arrow Nose, which was the first major design change from the Fox Body, moving from that European style 4-piece recessed bucketed headlight look. And then really all the way to the tail end of the model year run, you know, you saw the 1993 Cobra with the initiation of SVT, or Special Vehicle Team, and the 1993 Cobra R, you know, factory built, purpose built race car utilizing the Fox Body Mustang. And along with the myriad of trim levels and options from Ford, you even had guys like Steve Saleen and companies like ASC McLaren. You know, they would take the cars, they would put their own custom spin on it, and those folks and that company in itself, you know, kind of developed its own little niche cult following. From a generational aspect of it, and like anything, you know, it's a love it or hate it regardless. But me personally, I love the Fox Body Mustang.
From my experience, when these cars were commonly used as daily drivers, they were a very economical, reliable platform that did exactly what they needed to do and what they were designed to do. Readily available, they were cheap to get into, and in stock form, they were very versatile and very functional. I've daily driven quite a few cars, some glamorous, some not glamorous, but in all ones that I did have, they really didn't have any major issues with them. Got some 88 to 93 4-cylinder cars that were automatics and didn't have any power, but they got me to and from work on a budget, and that's what they needed for. My favorite one was my 92 Calypso Green hatchback that had Kenny Brown suspension, M2300K, stock motor, but it was still fun to drive, toss around corners. It handled well, didn't have any rattles, and it was by far my favorite one that I've currently owned.
This is kind of subjective, I guess you could say, but more or less the Fox Mustang kind of saved the Mustang as a whole. If you think about the Mustang II, which was from 1974 to 1978, there was the gas crisis through the 70s. All the manufacturers, including Ford, you know, they were having to make cars a little bit smaller. They were having to make them fuel efficient. And the Fox Body Mustang coming onto the scene in 1979, just so happened the redesign came at that point, and that's what they had to do right out of the gate. There was a 2.3 liter 4-cylinder option, a 2.3 liter turbo option, and then the V8 Fox Body Mustang, I think, had somewhere around 150 horsepower. The Fox Body was definitely slow rolling, but as time would go on, all the way to 1993, which was the end of the Fox Mustang era, we saw a lot of good refreshes through that time frame. We saw some specialty models, the major redesign in 1987 to the Arrow Nose, so a lot of good things happened, and ultimately all of that stuff, there was a lot to choose from and a lot to pick from enthusiasts like ourselves, and ultimately why the Fox Mustang has been increasing in value.
They're an investment gold mine because people really did drive the cars. They really did enjoy them. Everybody knows somebody that had a Fox Body Mustang. If you're of my generation, that was the car to have, the car to beat, you know. So, and I think that that is going to continue to go up as more people get invested in the hobby and in the car market, and continue to see what the growth value is of those cars. Simply put, they're still a good deal in my mind. The Fox Body ran such a long span, and they made so many different variations and additions, trim levels, cost levels, that there was a kind of a car for everybody. So I think you're seeing that people gravitate to the car that they relate to. Either they wanted the best of the breed or they wanted the car that nobody else has, and Fox Body you could have had either in a Fox Body. We've seen some of that here with some of the unique cars we've had, from a 79 4-cylinder Ghia Coupe to the SVOs, to a Dominator Mustang that we had here at one point. Ultimately, the buyers for those cars, the enthusiasts for those cars, were all respected a little different aspect of the Fox Body history. All that together, that's just it. Still great value in the collector car market relative to everything else out there, and simply the cost of a car these days. Certainly the racing pedigree and history. Most valuable cars are the cars that sustain their value for the longest, are typically the cars that have some sort of sentimental value, I guess you could say. If your brother drove one, your buddy in high school, you saw the fastest car at the drag strip was a Fox Body, you wrenched on one in the driveway with your buddies, all of those are conditions that you can relate to that kind of imprint some sort of sentimental value on that car, and I think that that's ultimately what's made the cars collectible and keeps them growing in value.
Fox Mustang is probably the most popular platform for engine swaps. Basically, it's light. I mean, right out of the gate, Fox Coupe, you can put a lot of power in it and go fast without a whole lot of effort. Oh, I start with the OG engine swap, 2.3 to 5.0, real simple. 5.0 to 351, kind of the next in the evolution. Of course, people were putting in big blocks or small block Chevys. Then came along the LS motor engine swap for a Fox Mustang. Granted, Coyote swaps are, I would say, equally as popular. A little bit more expensive, obviously, but at least you get to keep a Ford motor, and you're literally stepping into a 400 horse car with absolutely stock drivability. So there's a lot to be said for that. Curious to see where it goes with all the Godzilla projects going on. That's still a fledgling market right now with a lot of new stuff coming out. So that could be another contender. Who knows? I mean, it could knock the LS off its platform. To go along with those engine swaps, it really has affected the value of a swapped car. You know, I didn't even touch into, mod motor swaps, Cobra 4 valves, 0304 Cobra motors, Mach 1 motors. A little less popular. There's quite a few of them done. Hell, I did one. 300 horse, stock drivability, is a fun little car. But obviously you're going to get more power out of a Coyote swap for about the same money. A Coyote swap car, or a properly swapped, 351 car, or even a 2.3 car with a nice 5.0 swap where you had a donor car sitting there and traded everything over, and the only way to tell the difference is to look at the VIN. You can get a lot more money out of a Coyote swap car just because you can't replicate for the money yourself rebuilding that car. Somebody's already put in all the work, effort, collected the parts. It's there, it's together, it's running, it's in front of you, and you're likely getting a deal if you're buying one completely done. Even though you may look at it and be like, damn, edging up on a new Mustang price. Well, you can't get a Fox Body anymore. They're not building them.
So I think there's always been an enthusiast following to the Mustang in general. And as far as the longest run of any one particular body style or platform, Fox Body had the longest run of any platform of Mustang. So, your 65 to 70 cars were just that, 71 to 73 is all kind of grouped as the early cars, but all of them had quite a few chassis differences in that first few years. You had the Mustang 2 in there that ran for 4 years. 79 to 93 was a long run for one platform. 79 to 93 Mustangs, keeping that same platform for so long, being able to interchange parts from one year to the next, retrofit a 93 with parts from a 85 or vice versa. You had such versatility in that platform and so many followers that it just made it what it is in the collector market, I think. 14 years there grabs a lot of different buyers during different types or different times of their lives. Once again, everybody knew someone that had a Fox Body, and that spanned for such a long time that I think that the following was created from it.
A Mustang in general is a lifestyle. and it has been since the first one rolled out in '64. You guys have been hot rodding these things, getting together in the garage, driveway, swapping engines, building engines, blowing stuff up, putting it back together. You don't have the type of community with any other vehicle make, model, whatever. Mustang is kind of a generation of its own. You don't have anything to really compare it to. Just the unique styling whenever it came out, you attracted a different buyer, I think, than previous generations. Of course, as things have gotten more social and everything like that, cars and coffees, cruise-ins, car shows, you get into an age now where, people that might have seen, wanted, were enamored by this car, seeing them on the dealership lots new, couldn't afford one then, or not even at the age to drive, or whatever the case may be. You got some money in your pocket now. You're gonna go find the car that you wanted when you were in high school.
All right, people, so that's gonna wrap it up. We hope you enjoyed our talking points and all of our knowledge we shared with you on why the Fox Body Mustang is increasing in value. Even at the time of this video and leading into the unforeseen future, we could probably honestly say the Fox Body will forever increase in value. And for folks like us, we can't wait. We're going to continue developing parts for these cars. This is our bread, it's our butter, it's what we know, it's what we love. Not excluding all the other Mustangs and of course the Lightning, but the Fox Body is why we started. So long live the Fox Body. We're going to sign off for the day. Remember, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll catch you in the next one.